The little girl sneezed and sent the old woman flying 5 meters away. She pointed to the sky, and 3 bolts of lightning came crashing down. They struck a few villains, turning them into blackened charcoal. The reason the little girl had such great power was because she was an angel named Angelia. The reason Angelia came down to the human world was that she had broken the rules. Angelia had altered the lifespan of mortals without permission. She brought a good man back to life, who was already lying in his coffin, and she made an evil man die instantly before his time. Although Angelia acted out of kindness, she disrupted the balance of the mortal world, so God punished her by sending her to the human world for trial, and he cast her into a time of famine. As soon as Angelia opened her eyes, she saw her wicked grandmother trying to sell her for food. Stepmother Annie, though not related by blood to the 3 children, treated them as her own. Annie held the children close, protecting them tightly. When the grandmother tried to grab them again, Angelia sneezed and sent her flying away. Annie was shocked that her little daughter had such strength. Overjoyed, Annie hugged Angelia and kissed her again and again. It was the first time Angelia had ever felt the warmth of a mother's love. She instantly grew fond of her stepmother. The wicked uncle grabbed a stick, ready to beat Annie and the children. Just then, the village chief arrived with others. He scolded the uncle for bullying a helpless widow and her children. Yes, Annie's husband had died. Yet, she still chose to raise her husband's children from his first marriage. Annie was that kind of kind-hearted woman, but her mother-in-law was cruel. She falsely accused Annie of trying to sell children who weren't her own. Annie tried desperately to explain, but everyone believed the grandmother instead of the stepmother. Annie was left speechless and helpless. At that critical moment, Angelia stood up to testify for her stepmother. The grandmother accused the child of lying again. Angelia immediately set a trap. She told the grandmother and uncle to swear to the heavens that if they had done evil, they would be struck by lightning. The grandmother and uncle had done countless wicked deeds, but had never been punished by God, so they didn't believe in divine retribution. They swore without hesitation. God would not punish them, but the angel, Angelia, would. Angelia summoned 3 bolts of heavenly lightning. They struck the 3 and turned them into charcoal. Only after they fled in disgrace did peace return to the home. When it came time to eat, there wasn't even a single grain of rice left in Annie's house. To nourish the children, Annie decided to cook their last rooster, but Angelia used her divine power. The rooster suddenly started laying eggs. It laid over 100 eggs in one go. At that moment, rice began to fall from the sky. Annie joyfully thanked God for the food, unaware that it was all the little angel Angelia's doing. But even divine beings cannot create something from nothing. They can only transfer things. So at that same moment, the wicked grandmother screamed. All the rice in her home had vanished. The spiteful aunt screamed as well, for all her eggs were gone too. Meanwhile, Annie's family happily ate their meal. Suddenly, Angelia was shocked to discover that her stepmother and 2 brothers had only 1 day left to live. Only by finding the person chosen by God, the luckiest one, could she extend their lives. Then Angelia saw a golden dragon appear nearby. She instantly realized her chance had come, so she quickly took Annie out to wash clothes, hoping to find that lucky person. Sure enough, they found a man gravely wounded. The golden dragon circled around him, for he was Prince Anthony, commander of 1,000,000 soldiers. He had been hunted by enemies and ended up there. Kind-hearted Annie brought the man back home. His injuries were too severe. To save his life, Angelia had to use her magic. The effort drained her strength, leaving her in a deep sleep. The grandmother still wanted to sell Angelia for food. She brought thugs to take her away. Her 2 brothers tried to flee with her, but couldn't wake her up. Annie couldn't fight them off. At that moment, Anthony came out to help. The mother-in-law slandered Annie, saying she was unfaithful. She insisted Annie must die. Anthony's wounds worsened as he fought to protect Annie. Both were beaten and bruised all over. They threw Annie and Anthony into the water, intending to drown them. The villains took Angelia away. In the chaos, Angelia regained a bit of her strength. At the critical moment, she pulled the 2 of them out of the water. Seeing Angelia flying in the air, holding up 2 adults with ease, everyone present was stunned. The grandmother and uncle were terrified. They thought Annie's dead husband had returned to save her, his spirit possessing Angelia's body. They quickly knelt down to apologize, begging the ghost to spare them. To scare them further, Angelia pointed her little hand toward the sky. Thunder rumbled instantly. Everyone there dropped to their knees in terror. Just then, a witch appeared. She looked down at the tiny Angelia with contempt. The witch summoned lightning to strike Angelia, but Angelia was completely unharmed. Now it was Angelia's turn to act. She innocently asked Annie who she wanted the lightning to strike. Annie pointed at her mother-in-law. Angelia summoned the lightning. The grandmother's hair exploded into a frizzy mess. Annie then pointed at the uncle. The uncle was still arrogantly insulting Annie. The next second, his hair turned into a frizzy mess too. At that moment, the witch finally panicked. She began muttering a spell to kill Angelia, but Angelia only smiled calmly and looked straight at her.